Hello everybody, this is the demo for project 4 by group 2 where we have created a user's application which will allow a specific user of the application to log in, sign up if he's a new user, get information about other users, get his personal profile information and edit his personal profile information. Also, the user can log out of the application. So the first endpoint that we will be seeing is the sign up endpoint, where a user can create his or her account in order to access the other resources of the API. So we'll first begin with our postman demonstration of our API. So in order to create a user, the first name, last name, age, gender, email and password will be required. The email has to be a unique value throughout the database because the email is the primary credential used for login along with the password. So let's say we try to create this user. We will get a response from our server upon successful user creation, which will return the ID of the user, which is the unique ID generated by MongoDB, the first name, last name, gender, age, email of the user. Along with that, a token will be returned. This is a JWT token which can be used to access other resources of the application. The user cannot access any other endpoint of the application without giving a proper authorization token. There are certain validations that are there on these fields with which the user can be created. For example, if we give any numeric or other value in the first name, last name, if the age is anything other than a numeric value, if the gender is anything other than male or female, or if the email is not of correct format, or the password does not have a minimum length of 6 or maximum length of 20 requirement fulfilled. So upon sending this kind of request, we are going to get a bunch of validations from our server saying that the first name, last name need only alphabetical values, the gender can only be male or female, the age has to be a valid integer value, the email has to be a valid format, and the password needs to have minimum 6 and maximum 20 characters. So let's say that we revert all this information and we again try to create this user now having the same email ID. Now you'll see that we get an error saying that the email is already being used, so we cannot use this email to create a new account. Now let's try to log this user in using the login endpoint. In order to log in a user, we need the basic authorization header which will provide the username and the password. If you do not provide any authentication or authorization header, we'll get an error saying that the authorization header is required in order to proceed. So let's say that we provide the basic authorization of, and we send this request. Upon having a successful hit in the database for the email and the password specified, we're going to get all the user information as we discussed in the sign up, also along with a token as it was in sign up. So this token can then be used to access the other endpoints of our application. Now if the user does not enter a valid email ID or password, we have certain error handling done. First, let's copy this token of us. Let's say that we enter an email ID which is not present in our database. We'll get that no such user is present in the database. Let's say we give a wrong password. We'll get an error saying that the username or password is incorrect. The user can log in only with the correct email associated with the correct password. So when a user is signing up, this password is going to be hashed and salted to be saved in the database. When the user logs in, the password will be fetched, it will again be hashed and salted, and this value will be compared to the value present in the database. This functionality is performed using bcrypt.js. the next function that our API will provide is to edit the user's personal information. So let's say that this we want to edit the information of the user to whom this token belong to, and this is the body that we are providing for the edit. So we will not be specifying any ID over here. The ID will be fetched by decoding the token that was passed in the request header, and the user corresponding to that ID will be updated. So let's say we want to insert this information instead of the one we had for that specific user. So we change the first name, last name, the age, and the gender. The email ID and the password cannot be updated since they are login specific information. So let's say that we put the email field, and we also put the password field. We are going to get error saying that the email and the password cannot be updated. Similarly, we also have validation errors similar to sign up for the first name, last name, age, and gender. Now, let's say we make a successful edit request. Now you'll see that the we get a message saying that the user is updated. We can check if the user is actually updated by hitting a URL called the users slash profile URL. Over here again we need to pass the token, and by decoding the token, the user ID will be fetched and the user corresponding to that ID will be returned. So when we hit this URL, now we are going to get our same user, but now with the modified information that we entered in the edit users field. One thing we can see in the edit users is that if no edit information was provided and we try to update it, we get a result saying nothing was updated. The next endpoint that we will see is an endpoint to get the list of users by certain search criteria if we wish to in our application, which again require the authorization header. So let's say that we don't want to provide any of the filters and we send the request. We are going to get a list of all the users which are present in the database, and their and the information associated with them except for their password. So let's say that we put a filter of email saying that we want users only who have the UNCC email. So we'll get the users who have UNCC in their email addresses. Similarly, if we try to put a last name uh, filter and a first name filter, maybe, um, and a gender along with that, and we send the request, we will get all the users who have SAM in the first name, JO in the last name, and are female gendered users. Now if you specify the email as UNCC, we won't get any users as none of the users had UNCC which fulfilled all the above criteria. Hence we got a request saying no, hence we got a response saying that no users were found. Next is the logout functionality. So what this endpoint is going to do is that it is going to log out the user to whom this token belongs. So upon sending this request, we'll get a response saying that the user is logged out. Now if you try to use any of the user specific endpoints like edit or get users, we will get an error saying that the user we cannot proceed, user is logged out. Same for getting user specific information, and same for getting the users list information of the application. Now I will demo the application which uses this server. uh, so this is the first landing page where the email ID and password can be entered in order to access the application. Let's say we used the email id that we just created using our api. We will sign in now, and we'll see a list of all the users which are present in the system. We can filter the users according to their gender. If we click male, only the male users will be seen. If we click female and search, only the female users will be seen. Uh, if we click on first name and we search for SAM and we search, we will get a list of all the users with the first name whose first names have SAM and are female. If we click both, we will get all the users who have SAM and are male or female. Similarly, we can have a filter for the last name, the users having Joe in the last name, or users having UNCC email domain, which will be these two users. The uh, so this is for the users list functionality of the app. The next thing the user can do is view their personal profile, and if wish, edit the personal profile. So let's say from Sammy I change to Jamie, from Joan we can change to Joel, and age gender to male and age to 30, and we edit this information, the user will be updated. Now you can see that the user gender was updated, and if you see the profile, the first name, last name, gender and age is also updated accordingly. The last functionality of this application is helping a user log out. So when a user clicks on log out, we'll be brought back to the login screen. One more thing that we would like to show in this application is the sign up activity, where a new user can be created using the app. So let's say we create a user called Anna James, um, whose age is 24, email id annaj@gmail.com, and password. All the verifications and validations that we discussed while creating the API are also applied over here and will be shown on the UI if anything is violated. For example, if the first name is not entered and the user tries to sign up, we'll get a message saying that the first name cannot be empty, and and similar validations are there for all the fields. So let's say that now our user is signing up. The user was created successfully, and we are back to the users list page. So this is for the demo of our application for Project 4. Thank you very much.